Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I got a story for you today. It's about what happened way back, maybe 2007 ish. But I'm going to tell you the story. It's kind of an amazing story, kind of dark, kind of funny. But if you do like this story and stories like this, leave a like, share, or subscribe because we need to reach more people, and you can make it happen. So, okay, on with the story. How this story starts is when I was in 1975. I was a kid, and we were playing Little League. And in them days, there was no women, no girls that played Little League. And there was this one guy named Brian, and he was 2 years older, 3 years older than me, and he was a pretty good baseball player. I wasn't that good of a baseball player. I was okay. I was about average. And so was he. He was my oldest brother's age. And he was just an average player. No big deal. Well, his little sister, who was a year older than me, she could pitch. She was a pitcher. And she could throw the baseball better than most guys. So it was kind of amazing. She was in the newspaper, and she was like the first girl to be in Little League, and which made her brother Brian feel pretty shitty because back then everybody bullied people and teased the shit out of people, and he got razzed about it a lot, and he got razzed so much that he just quit sports altogether because his little sister kind of stole the show. Life went on for him, but he started drinking and partying like everybody did back then. His little sister turned out to be the biggest jock there ever was. She was all American or all everything. So she was really good at basketball, volleyball, everything. And so he continued to drink, and he graduated from high school, and he started his own business. He was masonry, and so he did a lot of driveways and stuff. Made a lot of money. He was considered pretty successful. He got married, and his wife was just a knockout, gorgeous broad, and so they bought a house, and he was doing pretty good. But then the meth came in. The meth came in onto the scene, and my buddy Johnny, which was his old neighbor from when they were growing up, introduced meth to him and his wife, and they really loved it, and so meth became their go-to thing for their relationship and whatever. And so what happened was in around 2006, 2007, when they took the pills off the shelves, their relationship was in dire straits. They struggled, and basically they got separated, and he moved out to their garage. So he lived in the garage with his dog, and she lived in the house. And she wasn't seeing anybody, but she was the way they kept their relationship going is he would get her some meth. So she depended on her husband to get meth. Well, sooner or later, another mutual friend of Johnny's and Brian's that was from the same neighborhood entered the scene, and pretty soon he was going on with her, and so they got in a fight with she got in a fight with Brian, and they got a restraining order. So now he got kicked out of the garage. He couldn't be within so many feet of her or whatever. They were in trouble. And so on the other side of the block was another friend of mine that was a good meth cook. And I went down there. I rode my bike down there one day, and I knocked on the door. Nobody answered. I knocked on the garage door, and I think I could smell meth. Like, I wonder if they're cooking it in there. Pound on the door, and finally, someone says, "Who is it?" I'm like, "It's Joe. Let me in." So they let me in, and of course they were cooking a batch. And I said, "Well, if you're cooking a batch, you don't answer the fucking door, you just don't answer it, and then I would have went away. What if it was someone else, you know? So they let me in, and they were finishing up this batch, and I had money on me. I was going to buy a bunch from them, you know, and so they had a camera pointed outside, and all of a sudden we heard sirens, fucking sirens, like police cars, and another siren. It turned out to be a fire truck. Well, if you're cooking and you got a lab going, and someone is wise to it, the cops only don't show up. The fire truck also shows up. So we're watching that camera, that video screen, and cops going by, and then a fire truck goes by. I'm like, what the fuck, you know? So I go, where's the tank of gas? And they go, it's outside. I said, fuck. So I opened the door and I ran out to get it. It looked like a propane tank, you know? So I grabbed that propane tank. Right as I grabbed it, a cop car pulls up right next to the curb, 20 feet from me. And I'm going, holy shit. So I grabbed it kind of nonchalantly, like we were going to barbecue inside. I don't know. So I grab it, I bring it in the garage. I said, holy shit, there's a fucking cop out there, you know? And I go, then they're all going, yeah, I know, I can see him. So all these sirens going off. We know the fire truck went by, so we're just thinking we're all going to get busted and we're going to get like 4 or 5 years in prison, you know? And all of a sudden, the cop car that pulled up right next to me outside, the cop gets in there and drives away. Turns around a corner and goes to the other side of the block over by Brian's house. And we're going, well, what the fuck are they doing over at Brian's house? Because he don't even cook meth, and he only buys, you know, half gram at a time. What's with all the fucking cops and fire trucks and shit? So they finished up the batch, and I said, just give me mine. You know, I give them some cash, and I grabbed mine. I jumped on my bike. I fucking got out of there as fast as I could, and then I went home, and it turns out it was in the newspaper, and then I found out later from the grapevine that what Brian did, Brian was pissed, and he wanted to get back at his girlfriend and his wife. That from when they got married, he had his big case of silverware, and what he did was he took just a plain potato, he wrapped it in tin foil, and stuck some wires in it, and put it in his silverware, and told his wife that it was a bomb. So to her, it looked like a bomb, I guess. So she called the cops and said there's a bomb in the house, and that's why all the cops are there. That's why the fire truck was there. So we're going, holy shit, that fucker's nuts, you know? So he got in a lot of trouble, but it wasn't that serious because it was just a potato. So anyways, he had to move out of there. So he moved a few, like 5 blocks away to my buddy Johnny's. Johnny had a lot that he owned, and he had a nice shed there, but Brian didn't move into the shed yet, but he will. There was another girl that he knew across the alley, and he was shacking up with her, and they were just alcoholics. They were severe alcoholics, and they drank and drank and drank, you know, and he was doing meth, and so then they had a little domestic squabble, and she kicked him out of there too. So then there was no place left to go, and he was you know, at this time he had lost his driver's license, and now his masonry business was kaput, and I don't know how he was getting by, but Johnny said, I'll let you live in my shed. And his shed was a big shed. It had a living quarters upstairs, and it was a pretty nice place. Brian was okay with that. So this went on, and I hadn't talked to Brian, and so Johnny was up in my shop, and he was getting some meth from me. And I said, hey, I need some tires. You got any tires? And he goes, yeah, I got some tires. I got a tire pile down at the shop. Maybe we can get a couple tires there. So he drove me down there, and I had a couple of 8-balls on me, and we were digging through the tire pile, you know, like all tweakers do when they need tires. And we couldn't find the right size, and they were all worn out. They're all shitty tires. So he goes, "No, there ain't nothing here." I go, "Well, give me a ride back home then." And all right, so he was driving. And we were driving out of his lot, and while we were looking through the tires, I heard noise coming from his shed. It's like, "Oh, is Brian there?" He's going, "Yeah, Brian's up there." I go, "How's he doing?" "Well, he's doing all right." I go, I haven't seen him in a long time." He goes, "Yeah, he's kind of bummed out, but yeah, he's doing all right." So as we're leaving, he stopped his car, and he goes, "Oh, wait, I got to run in and check on something in my shed." So I said, "All right." So I'm in the passenger side, and I'm watching him. He goes out, he gets out his door, and he walks around, and he goes up to his shed, and I'm watching him, and he opens up the door, and when you walk in the door, he's got steps going upstairs, and then that's like the living area, kind of like the loft. So I'm watching him. He opens up the door, and I see Brian. He's standing on the stairs. So I said, "Oh, okay." So then I don't know. I was checking my phone for texts or whatever a drug dealer does back then. So he, as soon as he opened that door, he shut it, and he all of a sudden he's back in the car again. I'm like going, "What's going on?" And he had a look on his face. He goes, "You wouldn't fucking believe it." He goes, "I opened the door, and Brian is hanging from a rope, and his neck is that long." He says, he goes, "What do I do?" I go, "Fuck, you bring me the fuck home, because I got 2 8 balls on me, So we fucking got out of there. Brian, he's hanging from a rope. We get to my house, and he didn't have a driver's license, so I gave him one of my bikes, and he biked on down to his lot again, and then he called the cops, and he called the coroner, or they called the coroner, and I guess there was a suicide note, but he never got to read it. But so yeah, that's the story about Brian, and it just sucks. But one thing that I saw Johnny like a week or 2 later, and I hadn't seen him since Brian hung himself, And I said, "Brian," I said, "Johnny, how you doing, man?" He goes, "I can't even go in that shed anymore. It just freaks me out. I can't. I've never seen nothing like that before." And he goes, "I don't know if I'm gonna just sell the lot or what." But I go, "Yeah, that's something. I'm glad I didn't see it, And he goes, but you know what?" I go, "What?" He goes, "You know how when a story gets from person to person, and it kind of gets exaggerated as it goes?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You wouldn't believe it. Like two days ago, this person walks up to me and says, 'Hey, Johnny, I heard Brian died.'" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, I heard there was a note pinned to him, and it said, 'You're next.'" And he goes, I couldn't fucking believe it. That's how the story got bigger. And yeah, that's the story of Brian, and that's the meth world. And I've got a lot more stories like that. But if you enjoyed the story, or you just if you feel one way or the other about it, leave a like, leave a comment, and if you want more stories like this, I got them. I mean, I'll tell you more stories like this. They're pretty, they kind of bum me out, but yeah, let me know what you think. Till then, we'll talk to you later.